Alright, so I'm going to go pretty quick through these, you guys, because I'm going to do several. So I'm going to talk while I'm working, but I'm going to do all the same steps that we've been talking about with centering the clay, with opening with 2 thumbs, switching to the double-double, curling, pulling out a flat bottom, and then doing actually flatten this bottom a little more. Just gotta watch, Fabian, remember? Do the roll over, do a big squeeze, pull number 1, second squeeze, pull number 2. These mugs, they don't have to be very big. They don't have to be 6 inches. So after your 6-inch cylinder, the project becomes making mugs. Now this is still a cylinder, and this could be a mug, but there's a lot of other shapes that could also be mugs. Hey, can you guys stop hugging while I'm doing the demo? Are you hand builders? Are you hand builders?
I'm a hand builder.
Okay, see if you can borrow some clay for somebody for the next 10 minutes, okay? Okay. But I want to show you guys how to do some things with shaping. What I'm doing right now is just real simple collaring. So you have a shape that you want to bring in. Collaring is a way to do that, and this could be a mug. In fact, it's a slight variation on the cylinder. It's a little bit more interesting, right? It's also a little bit more stable. And I want to point out a few details about a mug. Is number 1, you should have a rounded lip. Always have a rounded lip on a mug. You don't want a sharp edge, because sharp edges get sharper when they're glazed and fired. Especially for something that's going in your mouth, right? Your delicate lips and your delicate gums. You don't want any sharp stuff cutting your lips or cutting your gums. You also don't want a big fast square edge like this that's going to knock your 2 front teeth out when you take a quick drink, right? So play around with shaping the lips. Pretty much anywhere you touch the lip will change its shape. You can use a combination of your fingers. Sometimes you can just kind of hold the lip and use your finger to do different things to it. But in the end, make sure it is as round as possible. No sharp edges on the lip or the feet. We'll get to the foot later. Alright. Should we keep this as a mug? Can we make it more interesting? What would make it more interesting? Talk to me. Curves? See, we do need a handle. I'm trying to envision a handle on here too. What if I brought the bottom in a little bit? Now, ideally I should have brought the bottom in early if I was going to. And I have some slope down here. I'm going to cut some of it off. And I'm going to take my rib tool. I'm going to change this shape just slightly. Did it stop there? What if I... Is that more interesting? I'm going to take the opening in a little bit. The size of the opening is another thing you want to think about on a mug. A mug is not a bowl, it's not a plate, it's not a bottle. Those all have different size openings, right? The size of the opening on a mug should be about the distance between where your lips meet and the middle of your eyes, the bridge of your nose. That distance is a good distance for the opening of the mug, because you can think about drinking out of that. That's about where you want it, right? You don't want your head inside the mug, right? And you don't want that other edge bumping the tip of your nose when you take a drink either. I still don't know if I'm happy with this. I got it real wide in the middle. And then brought it in a little bit more. So to push out, or to belly the form out, I just pushed out a little bit with my inside hand. And these are all variations of the cylinder. It's not too far from the cylinder. So, different things you can do to take a cylinder more in a more interesting direction for a mug. I'm cutting some of that slope off, but I'm going to leave a little bit of it. And watch this. This is the undercut. I'm going to take the point of the modeling tool, create a little gap down there that leaves a shadow. One, it looks a little better. Two, it gives me some room to drag my wire under later. Okay, this could be a mug. I am going to soften that sharp edge down there. I'm going to take a sponge. Just take the sharp edge off of that. Remember I said no sharp edges. Alright. So let's take this one. Again, I'm going to have you be my guide. So clean, dry hands, and notice I shaped and scraped. I scraped the slip off first. You don't want a wet surface to do this. It doesn't work as well. Okay, set that down. You can hold it if you want, just don't drop it. How many of you have a favorite mug at home? Okay, describe it to me, Amelia. Your hand went up first.
Oh, it's big, fat, and it has a comic book pop art of the F word.
Okay, well, let's, I'm not going to go into your surface decoration, but can you describe the form? Is the form interesting, or is it all about surface? Who's got a mug at home that's got an interesting form they can describe? Fabian.
It has like a skinny belly and like a wide, it like opens up at the top.
So it starts narrow and then it gets wider? So like a cylinder, but like that? Really wide?
Not so much, not that skinny as well. Like that, and it starts getting wide.
Okay, you guys want to see how to make that? Okay, it's a variation of the cylinder. I start my opening, cross thumbs, double, curl my fingers, pull out a flat bottom, but not too wide because it has a narrow bottom, right, Fabian?
Yeah.
Okay. So, here I am ready for my rollover. And roll. Pinch, or squeeze and lift. Slipped a little at the end there. The opening is too small for my hand, so I'm just going to tuck everything in and go in anyway. It's going to open back up. Squeeze. Is there any like foot at the bottom?
Yeah.
There is? Like a little wide part at the very base? Okay, so I'm going to leave a little clay down there for that. And lift. Is it taller than this?
No, it's about that size.
About that size? Okay, but this is going to shrink about 14%. So if I wanted to end this size, I need to make it a little taller than that, right? So one last pull. And third pull, I'm always just fingertips. An actual skin on the clay. So no sponges on pull number 3. I can hold the sponge, I can squeeze more water out if I need it. Is this close to the shape, Fabian?
Yeah.
Is that exactly the shape?
No.
What needs to change? Does it need to get wider, narrower? This is a straight line. Should it be curved? Okay, so I'm going to shape and scrape. Get that slip off. You don't have to shape and scrape. Sometimes you might want to show the throwing rings from the fingers of your fingers on the surface of your pot. But if you're going to take it off by hand, you do want to shape and scrape. You want to give this a little bit more curve. It's kind of got a straight line to it right now, but what if, and all I'm going to do is push a little bit out to make this happen. And now I'm going to straighten it again. Does that have a little bit more curve?
Yeah.
More?
Like that.
Right there? Too far?
Yeah, kind of. Right there.
Right there? Okay, and the lip, does it go straight? Does it flare out? Does it curve in?
It flares out.
Flares out a little bit. So I'm going to take this round part right here. Far enough? Go farther.
That's good.
That's good? That's your favorite mug, Fabian?
Yeah.
Alright. So make sure my lip is rounded. Any other little details I want to address right now before I take it off? I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to try to straighten this up down here. and create a nice line where the pot ends and the foot starts. Is that okay for you? Does yours do that?
Yeah.
I'm going to cut off some of this extra clay down here, and then I am going to undercut. Okay, create that gap, create that shadow. Got a sharp edge, I'm going to soften it with the sponge very lightly. And this is ready to take off. A little wiggle. I wonder what would happen if I put a spiral on the inside of this. Did I ruin it, Fabian? I like it. Just for the idea, Fabian. We're collaborating, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so wire. Got your board ready?
Want to pick it up?
Real close. Don't drop these, Fabian. Okay, who else has got an interesting form at home? Nice mug at home? Anyone? Any ideas? What do you want to see? What kind of shape do you want to see? What? You got one?
Yeah, it's like kind of square, but it's rounded on the edges. It's like the base of the square, but it goes up, and like the edges are rounded.
So it starts
Yeah, it's skinny, real skinny on the bottom.
and it's wider.
Yeah.
But if I look at it from above, it's a square?
Yeah. It's
Kind of like that one?
yeah, like that.
So you want to see how I did that, but taller and skinnier? Okay. So, bottoms, the floor of your pot. You guys, a lot of you, when you were practicing your cylinders, had real thin bottoms, and I made a comment that said, you know, this is okay for practice. Keep going, don't start over, but when we get to actual mugs, you want more clay on the bottom. You want the bottom to be the same thickness as the walls. So make sure you leave enough clay on the bottom. Here's pull number one. Here comes pull number one. And I'm doing everything that I did in the demos before, I'm just doing it faster. We can get more in. And the secret again is don't do stuff that's not part of the process. Don't improvise. At least not right now. Does it have a foot at the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay.
The foot square too.
Foot is square too. Okay, so I'm going to leave some extra clay up here. Square foot. Okay, so this is kind of the shape, but now we've got to figure out how to square it. Okay, so pull number 3, it's just fingertips. And just squeeze in the thick areas. That was the thick area. When I get up into the thin area up here, do not squeeze anymore. It's already thin enough. We don't want it to get too thin. Never want a sharp edge on the lip. Do some shape and scrape. So this is gathering up all the slip on the surface. So these are all options. None of these are requirements. The only requirement is that your mugs are not straight cylinders. I'm going to get the water out of the bottom. Is that about how wide the lip is, Dante?
Yeah.
Push that foot down a little bit so I have some room to square it, cut it and make it square. Okay, so how do I make this turn from a circle to a square? Kind of an interesting shape by itself. Square enough?
Yeah.
All right. So this is called a wet alteration. You're altering the form while the clay is wet. How can I get a square out of that foot? Oops. Just cut into the side. Dante and I did not rehearse this before school today. So this would be a fail forward opportunity, right? haven't got it perfect yet, but we'll get it. On the next one, I might be a little bit more careful about squaring it. Is that kind of what the foot looks like, or should I have left more play down there? As I'm looking, I see I took that chunk out of it right there. If I left a little bit more of a foot, maybe I could have not gotten so close to that. But I still, I probably should have done a deeper undercut in the beginning. Although that's kind of interesting. If I soften those up, what happens? You guys into that? I kind of dig that. All right, ready, Fabian? Thank you. What else? What else you guys got? What? Huh? Triangle. Triangle is a two-dimensional shape. What are you talking? Three-dimensional form. We're talking about three-dimensional form. What do we? Pyramid.
Or like a pyramid, yeah.
Like this, but with a triangle.
Yeah.
You guys want to see stuff you'll actually be able to do? How about instead of a pyramid, we'll round it out and turn it into a cone? Have a cone shape. Some variation of this. A student last period suggested that shape, and we call this the trucker mug because it's got that wide base, and if you're a truck driver and you're trucking on down the interstate, you got your big mug of coffee, you can keep it on the dashboard and go over all kinds of bumps and take all kinds of turns, and that wide base and narrow opening is going to keep all that splashing coffee inside your mug, right? So I'm going to open a little wider than I normally would. So it's going to have that wide base. Really important to have even thickness bottom when the bottom's big. The bigger the bottom, the more likely it is to crack if it's uneven or not compressed. So roll over here. And the rollover is almost the shape, right? So now squeeze. And continue to pull. I wonder if I should have used more clay. Maybe I'll bring this in a little bit. So, this is not good, right? Does this make a good mug shape? The cone? Looks too small right here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, remember what I said about the lips to the eyes? What?
There's a big amount.
Huh?
Big amount.
There is a big enough, but how can we actually make it drinkable? Because this would be like, I'd have to tilt it way back and it'd be a real small opening, it'd probably go up my nose. Remember, I'm driving my truck down the interstate. Flare the edge up. Can I call it a lip? The lip of the pot? Does that make it more drinkable?
Yeah.
Does it look good?
Yeah.
It looks very stout, doesn't it?
Yes.
Like stocky?
Yes.
What if we give it a little bit more grace, a little bit more shoulder and neck to the lip? Now the smaller the opening, the more you should have that flare up. It's going to be more difficult to drink out of. Get back inside. Open this up a little bit more. Now this shape is really good at keeping the contents hot for a long time. Have you ever seen a mug like this? It's a pretty popular shape. So I'm just using my collaring technique to affect the shape. And as I bring it in, the walls get thicker. As I stretch them out, the walls get thinner. So you want to keep that in mind. Try one more shape after this. And if you guys, you're thinking about stuff and you come up with an idea and you're like, that would be cool, but I just don't know how to do it. If you want to make a special request on a demo, just ask. Here's my undercut. This is super important. Some of you are going to be saving mugs today. Make sure you have a good undercut. That's going to help it come off the wheel. We're going to lift them off by hand. I feel like the foot is doing too much right now. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
And the lip, it's overshadowing the lip. Now I need to get the lip to do something. I'm going to try fattening it up. Or I'm going to lose control of it, one of the two. So just flaring it out and fattening it up, adding a little pressure, rounding it back out. They working well together again now? See, I fattened up the lip to kind of balance out what's going on with the foot. Again, keep it round. And now I gotta scrape it one more time because I just got it all wet. Remember, these are gonna shrink about 14%. I don't know. Looks like gravity is affecting it too much. This one will be a little trickier to get off. How many of you brought your own towel? It's great to have a towel for this. Oops. Last one. We'll have to figure something out. Dominic, are those your shoe aprons?
He doesn't want to get that Jordans. Order those.
Okay, so I'm thinking about the relationship between the form of the pot and the form of the human figure. And we do that a lot with pots. We talk about the foot of the pot, right? We talk about the lip of the pot, the belly of the pot, the shoulder of the pot. So I'm going to work on one here that tries to emphasize that figurative form. So I'm going to leave some clay at the bottom, a fat slope down there to be a foot. And I'm going to start pulling. As I do pull number one, I'm going to let it come out a little bit to go from like the foot to maybe some hips and kind of bulge out. And then maybe tighten up a waist above that. Pull number what? 2? Might be a 2-pull pot. So I'm going to start shaping here. I think I'm going to tighten it up just a little bit below the waist, below the hips. Let these hips come out. Tighten up the waist. Do you see a human figure? Find it? Now think about this, is going to have a handle on it too, right? So if you take a handle off the shoulder, put it down onto the waist, kind of like, I'm a little salute. I'm going to collar, make sure the clay is real wet, make sure your hands are real wet. Just use the edges of your fingers. And again, I'm thinking about the handle coming out here. And so I need some room for my fingers to get in there, so this curve here makes some extra room for the fingers, right? Should I change this? Adjust this? Suggestions, folks? What do you think? You guys like it? And this lip is coming pretty much straight up rather than flaring it out. You can go straight, you can go flared out, but you wouldn't want to curve in. I'm going to make some more, kind of define these lines, these sections. So there's an edge there, change of direction there, there's a corner there. I'm gonna straighten this part up. This is flaring out. Do I want it to straighten up? See this wall right from here up? It's flaring out a little bit. You like it like that, or should I make it straight? Keep it like it is, raise your hand. Make it a little straighter, raise your hand. Okay, I guess we'll keep it straight. Keep it like it is. Alright, so this foot is not ready to cut off yet. I need to clean it up. I'm going to do some cutting. I'm going to take off some of this. Again, I'm thinking about what's going on up here. And I'm using what I'm already seeing to make decisions about how much foot to leave and what angle to leave it at. I think I might need to take a little more off. And now an undercut. And I think I want to just soften that edge a little bit. Are we happy with this?
Yeah.
Make sure the lip is round. Always make sure the lip is round. Okay. Where can I put this one? Alright. Let's give you guys some ideas here. So once you've made your 6-inch cylinder, again, I just need to see it. Show it to me. You can raise your hand. I can look at it from across the room. And then we're on to making the actual mugs. I'm going to photograph your best 2 mugs, and we'll talk about handles as soon as you've got a few of those full or made. Any questions? Thank you, Eric.